Right, well, I've just booted into the machine, and the first obvious problem I've had is that font that I set on the terminal is in fact incorrect. I was thinking about another one where there's a range of lat 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. fonts, but that terminal 16 I was using, it has only got lat 2 as I remember. It's got all the European glyphs inside it, so I need to change that. The other more severe problem I've got is that the HDMI is not being activated, so I can't actually do any screen grabbing at all. So what I need to do, I've got a suspicion what it might be. Obviously, I didn't do complete testing before I did this. I didn't test that the screen grabber worked after the kernel had been rebuilt. So I'll have to play around with the kernel to get that to work. Well, hopefully I can get it to work. Otherwise, that's going to be a major issue in doing GLFS because I won't be able to show the desktop when we get a graphical environment up. So yeah, I need to sort that out. But what I've done, I've just rebooted the machine back to how it was with the new MLFS system as the kernel, the new MLFS kernel on the old root system. So that's why I'm back in root. What I'm going to do is to put that console font back. VIETC sysconfig console. So change that back to what it should have been. I'm trying to be a little bit too clever there. And I'm going to put the the host one back as well. Should have done that before I went in actually. So let's log that out and go back in again. Let's get bash up. Right. So yeah, so I need to get that sorted out. In the meantime, I thought what I'd do while I'm here is to get OpenSSH working, just so that when I start GLFS, we can start working on that remotely without having to go through the root unnecessarily. Being I've had to do some root stuff here, so I'm going to get the preparation done basically for GLFS, which includes fetching all the files. I'll be installing wget, well, very basic wget, and then OpenSSH as well at a minimum, just to get going to start going through the GLFS videos when I begin them. So what I'll do first is to go into the sources. I'm going to create a BLFS directory. Already exists. Oh, of course it does, because this is a copy of the BLFS from the host system. So that saves me having to copy in anything I need at this moment. So the first thing I was going to do is to install wget. So I need to get the BLFS up again. Right, got the sun on the screen here today. So wget, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this, but I'm not going to actually install it, and then I'm going to create an alias to the wget command until I build it correctly with all the additional support. So because what I'm going to do, I think, as I remember, the first part of the GLFS book is installing things like wget and PAM and so on. So I want to build these tools as they're represented in that book, not how I want to do them. So that's why I'm just going to build it but not install it. Just keep it as pure as I can to what the GLFS instructions tell me to do. So I'm going to extract wget. Looks like I've left the directory from whenever I built that previously, so I'm going to delete that and extract it again. Run these programs to configure it and build it. And run the tests. So as before, I think we've got a few errors, 15 passed, because there's some parts not available, such as HTTP daemon, IO socket for the test suite, and these two as well. libIDN's not installed. That's one that will be installed. PCRE2, again, it will be installed at some point. Valgrind won't be installed, so that's why we've got so many failures. But it's similar to what I've had before, so it's fine. That's fine with me. So the source directory contains the wget binary, which is that one there. So if I actually run that, you'll see it's executed and give me back the version 1.250. You can see that's the version we're using. So what I'm going to do is do alias wget equals the path with wget. So it means now that if I just type wget, it works as if it's been installed, and that is sufficient for our needs at the moment. So I need to copy that and put that into the bash RC for this root user. Bash profile, sorry, which doesn't exist at the moment. So I'll put that in there. And then the next thing I want to do is to, I'll get rid of this because I don't need this anymore, is to install SSH, OpenSSH. So let's look for that one. There it is there. Again, as you can see, it needs, well, it can use Linux PAM, and Shadow would need to be recreated. So again, well, this one's going to be installed. It needs to be installed, but it will be overwritten as I found it works okay. So I'll install the users required and then configure and build it. In fact, thinking about it, I could probably run OpenSSH without installing it, but I haven't experimented with that, so I don't know if it's possible. It probably is, but I'll just install it as it appears, and then, as I say, it'll have to be reinstalled anyway when PAM gets installed in GLFS. Okay, that's done. I'll run the tests. Okay, that's all finished and looks like it tested okay. All tests passed, that's good. Let's install this. And configure it. So, as usual, I set this option to yes. Alternatively, you can edit that. And insert it here. And we'll need a boot script. So let's come out of this, tidy that up. Change into the BLFS boot scripts and do make. Right, okay, I'll copy. My fingers aren't working properly. So that should be sufficient. Now the only other thing I want to do is to reuse the keys just so that I don't have to store new ones. It just makes it a bit more simpler. So I need to change into etc SSH and all these keys here I'm going to back up. So I'm going to make a directory called old keys and move SSH host star into old keys, and then I'm going to mount dev SDA3, which is the current running system at mount, and then I'm going to copy those same files but from the running system. So SSH underscore host star, and copy them here, umount /mnt, and that just means that I'll be, because the keys will be the same, I won't get a prompt saying there's basically new or unrecognized signature or key set for this machine, because they'll be the same ones as when I log on to the Linux from scratch. They'll be the same as the ones when I log into the multi-lib Linux from scratch. So what I'm going to do next is to create the Kernotex user. So I've got that to do because there'll be lots more compiling, and it's probably a good idea to have a normal user to do the compiling and then just use sudo to jump to the installation part, jump to root to install it. So I'm going to add a normal user and set the password for that. Right, now the next thing is I haven't got all the files here that I want. So let me see if I can go to the Kernotex user. In fact, I'll do it with the root first. And links. Oh no, I haven't got links in here, have we? No, okay. So I'll do it in here. Root. Okay, what I'm going to do is come out of the root. I'm in the home directory of root. I'm going to do I want to go to the GLFS directory, and in the list of packages here I've got this bash rc.sh which I'm going to download. It's just got a, oh right, I've already got it. It's got some settings, oh yeah, there it is, which I'm going to copy to, oh yes, of course I've already got it running for root actually, so copy that to Kernotex in LFS and call it .bash underscore profile. But I'll tell you what I want to copy, and then chown Kernotex, that file. In fact, yeah, it's invalid user, isn't it? So let's do that within here. So it's owned by Kernotex. I'm going to become Kernotex now, and I'm going to edit that file and just check some things in here. Right, yeah, the make flags, these are the ones I particularly wanted to check. I'm also going to add in this alias command for wget. So alias wget equals sources MLFS wget -1.25.0 source wget, and I'll also add in no check certificate because we won't have, or there isn't any certification set up yet, and I need to put in the prompt actually afterwards. Sorry, a parameter substitution. So it means that I can run wget, put in the URL, and it will download it and not prompt me for the certificate. So if I save that and then resource that, so .bash profile, I should have an wget command now. Yeah, and you see it says no such file directory because it's expecting a parameter. So that's okay. I'm going to change the ownership of the BLFS directory to Kernotex so that it's got access to it and all the packages in there. Let's do -rv /sources /BLFS. Must be, oh, this needs to be a root anyway, doesn't it? So I'll just do that. That's okay. And now what I'm going to do is to build Sudo, GPM and links just so that they're all available as in the environment, just to make it easier to get going. Same as we did with MLFS, it'd just be everything be ready for GLFS, I can access remotely and just get on with the building of it. So what I'll do is I'll become Kernotex, go into sources BLFS, and I'll install Sudo first, I think would be a good idea. So sudo hopefully that's there. No, it isn't, unfortunately. So I can now use the wget that I've set up to fetch this. Paste that in. Right, why is that not working? I've typed something wrong there. Have a nice sources BLFS wget source wget. Oh, I deleted the directory, didn't I? Fool. Right, let's try something because I seem to remember dev SDA3 sources BLFS, was it there? Yeah, I think I could probably use that one. So I'm going to copy that wget and plonk it into this one here. Change the ownership to Kernotex. If this doesn't work, I'll have to compile it again, unfortunately. Slash sources BLFS. Right, okay, so if I now become Kernotex again, change into sources BLFS and then try it again. No, okay, well, I'm going to have to install it again. I thought that might happen. So I'm just going to rebuild it and I won't bother with testing. In fact, I should be able to go back, shouldn't I? Carl SSH. Maybe not. Okay, that's good enough. So if I do cd ... now, I'm just going to leave that there and go back to the instructions for sudo. Let's go backwards. Right, fetch this again, copy link address. So wget, paste, that's better, it's working now. And as you can see, it didn't ask me for anything about or mention anything about certificates. So that option's worked as well. So now I can extract that, change into it and build this. Okay, run some tests. Because it's a fairly critical program, because it's used to install the packages. Okay, and look for any failures. There's none, that's good. So I'll install this now as the root user. So I'll use this format to install it. Must be run by the terminal. Okay. Not sure why that is. It's probably because I've installed things in a minimalistic kind of way at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll go to sources, BLFS, sudo, and just run make install from here. Then I'll copy and paste this. And I'll edit that so that I don't get asked the password every time I use sudo. Right, I haven't got PAM yet, so I won't need that, but I'll have to redo sudo when PAM has been installed. So if I now become Kernotex, right, it's asking for the password. Right, I'll need to add Kernotex to the wheel group. So is it user mod? Yeah, user mod -a minus capital G, and I want to add it to the wheel group, and it's Kernotex that I want to add. So now if I become Kernotex again, sudo su minus, right, yes, it's put me into the privileged user and it's not asking me for the password, and it's done it without complaining, so that's all good. So that's sudo done. So if I go to the sources and tidy that up, and then the next thing I want to do is to build GPM. Obviously the kernel should include these because I've had to build it for the host system anyway. I've just realised I'm not in the root, am I? Am I in the root? Oh yes I am. Yeah, it just looks, because this Kernotex message doesn't say truth, that's why it's a bit confusing. Okay. Right, so let's build this now. Yeah, what threw me was the host name still said LFS 12.3, and I thought, well, I'm sure I'll change that to MLFS, and it is because we're in a rooted environment. That is the name of the host. It's not MLFS because that hasn't been booted. Okay, so that's built. Text Live's not installed. So as the root user, we need to put all this in. So sudo su minus, paste that in. No, I've done that wrong, haven't I? Sudo -e su. That's better. It's kept the environment of the user. That's better, that's done. And we need to go to the MLFS boot scripts and install the startup scripts. And then in the etc sysconfig, I need to create a mouse configuration file. So have I still got the root installed, mounted? Yes, so I'm just going to copy from my root directory, the host root directory, which I've still got mounted here, etc sysconfig mouse, and paste it here because it's identical hardware, nothing's changed. And that should be GPM finished. So next one I'm going to install is links. So let's find that. Links. That's built. So I'll just install it as the root user now. So let's try doing it separately. We've seen the sudo -csu work. Let's try just passing one command. That's worked. And not forgetting this one here as well. That's done. So let's now do sudo -csu to do these remaining alterations. And that's links done. So that should be it. Should be ready for GLFS now.